Listen to me. Everybody wants to talk about talent. Everybody wants to talk about gift. But let me tell you something right now. Talent without effort is wasted potential. I've seen too many people lose because they were relying on talent instead of grinding with everything they've got. You can be born with all the natural ability in the world, but if you're not willing to wake up early, stay up late, and put in the sweat when nobody's watching, your talent means nothing. See, hard work doesn't just build skill, it builds character. It builds discipline. It builds that fire inside you that no one can take away, because talent might open the door for you, but hard work, effort, that's what keeps you inside the room. So today, I need you to stop looking for shortcuts. Stop waiting for luck. Stop comparing your path to somebody else's gift. Instead, put your focus on the grind, because the truth is, the ones who win, the real champions, they're not the most talented. They're the ones who never stopped working. Hard work builds consistency while talent fades without discipline. You see, most people misunderstand what success really takes. They think it's about being gifted, being special, being born with something extra that others don't have. But the truth is, talent is just a spark. It's not the fire. The fire comes from repetition, from showing up day after day, from doing the work even when nobody's watching. The ones who win in life are not the ones who start fast. They're the ones who can keep going when everyone else stops. Consistency is the bridge between your dream and your reality, and hard work is the foundation holding it up. You can't build a solid life on talent alone. Talent might give you a head start, but without discipline, you'll run out of energy halfway through the race. Every day you skip, every time you choose comfort over commitment, you weaken your potential. Hard work doesn't care if you're tired. It doesn't care if you had a bad day. It doesn't care if you're not in the mood. Hard work demands that you show up anyway. That's where consistency is born. In those moments when you keep going not because it's easy, but because it's necessary. Discipline is what turns effort into mastery. It's what makes the difference between people who dream and people who do. When you commit to hard work, you train your mind to focus, your heart to endure, and your spirit to never quit. You start to build habits that carry you forward even when motivation disappears. Motivation gets you started, but discipline keeps you going. And every single time you keep your promise to yourself, every time you wake up early, every time you put in those extra hours, every time you push past comfort, you strengthen your consistency muscle. You prove to yourself that you can be relied upon. Talent fades because it depends on comfort. It depends on things going right. It depends on recognition and validation. But hard work doesn't need applause. Hard work doesn't need an audience. Hard work is loyal. It stays with you when no one else does. When you rely on talent alone, you become fragile. The moment life throws pressure, doubt, or failure your way, your talent starts to crack. But when you build your life on consistent effort, you become unshakable. You stop being afraid of failure because you know your effort can rebuild what was lost. Consistency is not glamorous. It's not about big moments. It's about small decisions repeated thousands of times. It's choosing to practice when you'd rather rest, to study when you'd rather scroll, to push forward when everyone else is quitting. Every small act of discipline compounds into something powerful. Over time, the person who works hard daily surpasses the one who was naturally talented but inconsistent. Because the world doesn't reward potential, it rewards performance. And performance is built on consistency. Hard work teaches you resilience. It forces you to confront your limits and then go beyond them. It teaches patience because real growth takes time. When you commit to the process, you stop chasing quick results. You start focusing on progress, small, steady, unstoppable progress. You realize that success isn't about being the best once, it's about being better every single day. And that kind of improvement doesn't come from talent. It comes from effort, from the hours no one sees, from the grind no one celebrates. Every champion you ever admired, every athlete, artist, entrepreneur, they all had one thing in common. They were consistent. They didn't rely on talent alone. They relied on habits. They relied on structure. They relied on discipline. They trained when it hurt. They practiced when they failed. They showed up when they didn't feel like it. That's how they became great. Greatness isn't given. It's earned in the hours when the world is asleep. Hard work sharpens talent, but it also replaces it when talent isn't enough. You can outwork people who are more gifted than you because effort multiplies results. Even if someone starts ahead of you, your consistency will catch up. The tortoise beat the hare not because he was faster, but because he never stopped moving. That's the power of consistent hard work. It turns average into excellence. Discipline is the secret weapon of the successful. It's not about being perfect. It's about being persistent. It's about making the hard choices over and over until they become second nature. You can't control your talent. You either have it or you don't. But you can always control your effort. You can always control how much time, energy, and focus you give to something. And that's where true power lies, in knowing that your destiny is not limited by what you were born with, but by what you're willing to work for. When you depend on talent, your success becomes temporary. When you depend on hard work, your success becomes permanent. Because consistency builds habits, habits build character, and character sustains success. Hard work is the only currency that always pays off. You can't cheat it. You can't fake it. It demands everything from you, but it gives everything back in return. Every drop of sweat becomes a step closer to mastery. Every failure becomes a lesson. Every repetition becomes preparation for greatness. The difference between the talented and the consistent is simple. One hopes it works out. The other makes sure it does. The one with talent may impress, but the one with discipline inspires. When you show up day after day, people notice your reliability, your drive, your ability to perform under pressure. And even more importantly, you notice it. You start believing in yourself, not because of what you can do naturally, but because of what you've earned. That belief becomes your fuel, your armor, your unstoppable force. Hard work doesn't just build consistency in action. It builds consistency in mindset. You stop waiting for things to get easier and you start getting stronger. You develop a rhythm of resilience. You fall, you rise, you repeat. You stop needing external validation because your confidence comes from your effort, not from applause. You realize that success isn't a single event. It's a lifestyle built on daily commitment. And every day you keep going, you reinforce the truth that consistency outlasts talent every single time. Because when the lights go off, when the audience leaves, when talent runs out, discipline stays. It's that inner voice that says, get up, keep pushing. You're not done yet. And that voice only grows stronger with every act of hard work. That's why consistency is so powerful. It transforms who you are. It makes you dependable, focused, relentless. It gives you control over your destiny because you stop relying on luck or talent to define your success. You start depending on your grind, your effort, your will to keep showing up. Effort creates opportunities that talent alone can't sustain. You can have all the talent in the world, but if you're not willing to put in the effort, that talent will only take you so far. Effort is what turns possibility into progress. It's what transforms a dream into something real. Talent might open a few doors, but without effort, you won't have the strength, the skill, or the endurance to walk through them and stay inside. People often confuse potential with success, but potential means nothing without consistent work behind it. Effort is the bridge that connects where you are to where you want to be. When you give everything you've got, you create your own momentum. Every bit of energy you invest starts working for you, building results, building experience, building character. Talent might make the first impression, but effort leaves the lasting impact. Because the truth is, effort doesn't depend on luck. It doesn't depend on natural ability. It depends on choice. Your choice to push forward, to improve, to keep going even when no one believes in you. Every great success story is written in the ink of effort. Behind every record broken, every dream achieved, every goal reached, there's a person who decided to outwork everyone else. Effort also creates opportunities that talent alone could never see. When you give your best consistently, people notice. Doors begin to open, connections start to form, and you find yourself in places you once thought were out of reach. That's not luck. That's earned access. The more you invest in your grind, the more the world starts to respond to it. You attract possibilities because effort sends a message that you're serious, that you're reliable, that you're ready. And the world rewards readiness. The problem with relying on talent is that it makes you comfortable. You start to think you've got it. And when that happens, growth stops. But effort keeps you humble. It keeps you learning. It keeps you hungry. Effort forces you to evolve, to keep finding new ways to get better. And that's what keeps you ahead of everyone else. Talent can make you special for a moment, but effort makes you unstoppable for a lifetime. Because talent might get tired. Effort doesn't. Effort keeps going even when the results aren't visible yet. It keeps pushing even when the odds aren't in your favor. When you pour in the effort, you gain something far greater than recognition. You gain experience, wisdom, and resilience. Those are things no one can give you and no one can take away. They come only from doing the work, from putting in the hours, from showing up when you don't feel like it. That's how effort builds opportunities, not just for success, but for growth, mastery, and fulfillment. Because when effort becomes your habit, opportunity becomes your shadow. True success belongs to those who outwork, not just outshine. The world is full of people who want to be noticed, who want to look successful, but very few are willing to put in the kind of work it actually takes to earn it. The spotlight attracts many, but the grind filters them out. Real success doesn't come to those who talk the loudest or flash the brightest. It comes to those who stay committed long after the excitement fades. The ones who outwork others are the ones who rise when everyone else is sleeping, who practice when everyone else is partying, who sacrifice comfort for consistency. They don't chase validation, they chase growth. And that's why they keep winning long after others give up. Outshining someone might make you look good for a moment, but outworking them makes you be good forever. The difference between the temporary and the timeless is effort. Outworking isn't just about doing more, it's about doing better, doing deeper, doing smarter. It's about understanding that every repetition, every extra hour, every small improvement adds up to something that talent alone can't match. The grind refines you in ways the spotlight never could. You learn patience, endurance, focus, and the strength to keep pushing when the results take longer than expected. Success that comes from outworking others has a foundation that can't be shaken. When you've earned every inch of progress, you carry a confidence that no one can take away. You don't fear losing because you know how to rebuild through effort. You don't fear competition because you've trained harder than most people are willing to. The people who depend on talent often collapse under pressure because they never learned how to struggle. But those who grind daily are built for the storm. They faced the pain, they felt the weight, and they've kept moving anyway. To outwork others means to take responsibility for your dream. It means you're not waiting for the perfect moment or the perfect condition. You create the moment through your effort. You turn setbacks into setups because you refuse to stop. Every time you go beyond what's required, you expand what's possible. That's the secret behind true success. Not being better by chance, but being better by choice. You decide every day to give just a little more, to learn just a little faster, to improve just a little further. Over time, those small acts of effort separate you from the rest. True success doesn't need to be announced. It reveals itself through the results. Those who outwork don't need to prove anything to anyone because their progress speaks louder than their words. The grind may be silent, but its results echo. That's why the ones who work the hardest end up leading the pack. They earn their success with consistency, sacrifice, and relentless effort. They don't rely on moments of brilliance. They rely on a lifetime of discipline, and that's what makes their success real.